Oh, hi there. JT Banks again here. I was just practicing my sweeps for this week's lesson. You could tell that they all sounded a little sad. That's because this week we're going to be covering the minor sweeps. Last week we covered the major, and this week we need to, just like in algebra, what we do to one side we need to do to the other. So last week was major, this week is minor. So in this week's lesson, it's going to be just like last week's. We're going to mainly cover just the shapes of each minor arpeggio that we sweep through. Remember that they're based on the bar chords. That's these things. And it might also cover shapes that are similar to certain open chords that we're used to playing as well. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to format the minor arpeggios much in the same way we formatted the major one. So the first arpeggio is going to start on the 6th string, the other two are going to be on the 5th string. Your first finger starts out on the 12th fret of the 6th string, that's E, so this is going to be an E minor arpeggio. E, your pinky is going to hammer on to 15, like so. Your third finger, as the pinky comes off, is going to land onto the 14th fret of the A string. It's going to roll over to the 14th fret of the D string. As that comes off, your first finger with the very tip is going to land on the 12th fret of the 3rd string. Then you're going to roll over, another big roll here, to the 12th fret of the B string. And then one final roll onto the 12th fret of the high E string. Upstroke on the 15th fret with your pick, pull off, come back the way you came. Kind of let out a little blues bend at the end there. That was pretty cool to make. So the next arpeggio we're going to sweep is actually going to be a C minor arpeggio. So we're taking all the major arpeggios that we played before and just turning them into minor arpeggios now by just changing one note in them. It feels like we're changing more than one, but when you study the fretboard you realize they're all the same note that you're changing. So you're going to start out with your pinky on the 15th fret of the 5th string, that's a C note. Then your second finger, as the pinky lifts off, is going to go to the 13th fret of the D string. Your first finger, then as the second finger lifts off, is going to go to the 12th fret of the 3rd string. Your second finger then, once again, is going to go onto the 13th fret, this time on the 2nd string. That's the B string. Then your first finger is going to land on the 11th fret of the high E string. And your pinky, with an upstroke with the pick, is going to go to the 15th fret and pull off. Come exactly back down the way you came. And notice how my pick is moving. Like I said, sweep picking is not doing that. You're actually just letting it fall and then letting it come up. Some people talk about how you can lean your pick in the direction that you're sweeping. I wouldn't necessarily advise that. It can be helpful only to a certain degree, but don't do it too much, because if you put your pick at such an angle, then you put if you're trying to put your pick too far this direction, it makes any upstroke that you try to do at a complete disadvantage. So that's something to think about when you're playing, and the opposite applies for when you're leaning too far this way. So, okay. Alright, now we're going to do an A minor arpeggio. Begin with your first finger on the 12th fret of the 5th string. Hammer on to 15 with your pinky. Then your third finger, as the pinky comes off, is going to land on the 14th fret. Then it's going to roll over to the 14th fret of the 3rd string, next string over. Then as that finger comes off, your second finger is going to land onto the 13th fret of the B string. Your first finger then is going to land on the 12th fret of the high E string and reach all the way up here to the 17th fret and pull off and just come back down the way you came. So those were the minor sweeps this week. I hope everybody had their fill of minor sweep arpeggio madness. Make sure that when you practice these, like I said, you're still lifting off one finger at a time. And when you're doing rolls, make sure that you're rolling your finger. You're starting with the tip of your finger on the first string that begins the roll. Then you're just kind of, by bending this knuckle down, you're just kind of letting the other parts of your finger, like these parts here, roll onto the other strings as well. And then you need to do that in reverse order when you're coming back. So it all should land with the tip being back on that first string that begins the roll. If you need to, when you're sweeping across the strings, make sure that you kind of lean your pick a little bit down, not too much though. If you're sweeping in this direction, make sure that you're sweeping downward. And when you're sweeping this direction, maybe lean a little bit up this way as well, but not too much. Like I said, you don't need to lean too much at all, really. So practice slowly. Make sure your left hand's getting the mechanics of each shape. Make sure that your picking hand is getting the mechanics of each shape. Don't pick when you're not supposed to. Say if there's a hammer-on or a pull-off. You need to give yourself enough time to stop in that spot and not pick there, but just let your left hand do that part of the work. Thanks you guys for watching. I hope to see you again. Make sure you practice, and I'll see you next time.